The whole of human history is full of secrets and mysteries. In fact, even now, in the age of science and technology, our whole world order is causing thousands of questions, many of which cannot be fully answered by scientists. Time Puzzle crew tries to uncover some of those mysteries surrounding the mysterious places of Kazakhstan.
Republic of Kazakhstan, Kizilorda region. These places gave birth to many legends and mysteries. Historians and scientists consider these lands to be one of the key in the history of the country. These are the places of bloody battles, a birthplace of great warriors, scientists and philosophers, and later many legends were created about them. Local residents care for monuments of architecture with love and care, to which every year many pilgrims come. Here they ask for health, heirs, peace in the family and good luck. The program Time Puzzle specially went to Kizilorda region to touch the ancient legends. In today's program, in each nation there is such a right to honor the dead. The Kazakhs also have this phrase, until the dead are satisfied, the living will not prosper. What are the common features of the local mausoleums with monuments of ancient architecture located in other parts of the world? Here, such domes at an early stage among all peoples, from Turks to Egyptians and the Chinese. To whose graves do people from all over the country come? During Kazakh Khan reign, he was a gunsmith, a master. Information from those times that were passed from one to another. Nothing was recorded in writing. Seven Saints, a copy of the sacred place for all Muslims, and other secrets coming up in the program Time Puzzle. In the Kizilorda region, there are many sacred places. Scientists are engaged in their research and pilgrims come here to receive help and blessing. Today we will visit several such places and try to figure out what are their strength and uniqueness. My name is Andrei Slozhin, this is Time Puzzle. On the road from Kizilorda, if you move to the southeast direction towards the city of Shymkent, there are many small townships. On a modern line, cargo trucks, passenger buses and numerous private cars are carried by. Settlements flash past travelers, most of them bored looking at the rows of single-story houses scattered along the road. But few people know that almost all these places are sacred for pilgrims who come here from different parts of the country. 150 kilometers from Kizilorda, 20 kilometers from the village of Joly, there is a real pantheon of great people who performed their deeds hundreds of years ago. This is where the suffering people from all over Kazakhstan are striving to. The stories of the people who lived here are amazing. Bekbolat Abulov shared with us their stories. The mausoleum of Okshi Ata is located on the territory of the Joly district. It is considered a holy place. Okshi Ata Mausoleum. Here lie the ashes of the 5 saints revered by our people. These are Okshi Ata, Asan Ata, Kish Ata, Gaip Ata, Esabaz Ata, Dazboldatka and Balabi. Our film crew, being in the local places, could not leave this unique sanctuary without attention. The pantheon is named after one of these saints who are addressed here, Okshi Ata. His life is still shrouded in secrets and legends which excite the minds of researchers. It is curious that there is accurate information about the ruler of that time, Kazan Khan, a contemporary of Okshi Ata, but there is very little information about the old man himself. His story is passed from one person to another for centuries. There is no exact information about how many years he had lived, but according to some sources, he lived in the 11th century. Judging by the pantheon, one can guess that he was not an ordinary person in his time. In those days, for ordinary mortals, people did not build such large mausoleums. About Okshi-Ata, there are several legends and stories. According to some sources, his name also has several versions. He was called Ibrahim, and in one legend, Okshi-Ata, during the reign of Kazan Khan, in his workshop was a gunsmith. Okshi was a master of weapons from the Oghuz Khan Kazan. His workshop was in the town of Bestam, the ruins of which are now located 20 kilometers from the village of Shili, Kızılorda region. This is how Okshi is described in folk legends. In addition, he still had 1,000 by Kazan Khan. He was a batir, a warrior. According to another version, Okshi-Ata lived in Bukhara. From Bukhara, he was sent to the Sirdarya region to propagate the Islamic religion. Such a high position has good reasons. Khan Kazan was an experienced military commander and would hardly have placed a simple gunsmith at the head of the army. And besides, an orphan, as they say, without a clan or tribe. And the story of little Okshi was not at all idle and happy. About this legend, a lot is written in books, but nevertheless, no one knows exactly how things happened. There is a reason why he was called Okshi. He was an orphan. And in his younger years, he went around the villages and stopped at the old man who had one daughter. He stayed with them. The elderly adopted him. In those days, the local Khan each month took a tax from the people in the form of one girl and plus cattle. In the fall, Okshi-Ata got into the Turkestan with Ahmet Yasawi to help gather the harvest. And then his adoptive father said, "Son, you are leaving. The time will come, and how will we pay the tax to the Khan? He will ask for your sister." Then Okshi responded, "Ata, you do not worry. When they come for tax, 3 times out loud say my name." In the fall, the servants of the Khan came to the Okshi family for tax. Seeing his young beautiful sister, they grabbed her to take to the Khan. Then the father of Okshi-Ata went to his horse, tore one hair out of his mane, and 3 times pronounced the name of the adoptive son. At the same time, far from these places, the young Okshi slept peacefully.
Okshi-Атаға аян беріледі. Сол жаңа Түркістанда егін орып жүрген Okshi-Атаға аян беріледі. Осындай жаңағы қарындасын алып кетейін деп жатыр деген. Сол кезде
Okshi-Ata seized the dream, as if they take his sister. Then Okshi-Ata took a handful of barley in the palm of his hand and blew it out in the direction of the Sirdarya. And at this time, the senior executioner falls from a horse. And then the men of this village began to make noise. They say that he killed him. The foster father told people, "You ask my son when he will return who killed him." Okshi-Ata, after this incident, returns home. People tell him what happened. They share details. A man fell from a horse and died. And Okshi-Ata answered, "No need to make noise. If you want to find out who killed him, you have to rip his heart out. If you will see barley in his heart, then I killed him." People ripped open his heart and saw that the heart had barley. This is a legend, of course. Thus, Okshi-Ata saved his named sister from Khan. But there is one more version of those events. It was Okshiata, with the help of a magic blow, that helped Kazan Khan to take the leading role in the region, as he killed not just the tax collector, but the self-governed Khan, the previous ruler of these places, Muhammad Pulad. This is said in another interpretation of the legend. And then the grain that flew from Turkestan stuck in the heart of the Khan, and from this the Khan passed away. When the troubles began among the population, Okshiata's father said, "Cut the heart of the Khan in half. If there is some sign, then this is the work of Okshiata." After that, the word spread among the people about his special gift. This legend explains why a foster boy from a simple family known to people under the name Okshi became one of the most influential persons in the region. A master of his craft for forging weapons, a military leader and a brave batir. His unique abilities allowed him to achieve the high position and love of the people. To this day, the name of this man has a special meaning. Residents of these places keep the memory of Okshiata. In addition to the Okshiata Mausoleum and the Pantheon, located in the Joly district, there is the grave of another person who is also considered to be a sacred person.
Hasan Kayg'e,
he lived in the 16th century along with the Jirin Sheshen. Hasan Kayg'e sought the promised land of Jeruyuk, where people lived without grief and want, enmity and depression. When he came to the shore of the Sirdarya, he saw our saksaul, pheasants and hares, and decided that this is a very fertile land. Here people will not die of hunger. Built in the 16th century, this mausoleum is the funerary structure of the Kazakh philosopher, musician and poet Hasan Kayg'e. In addition, he was one of the most influential nobles at the Golden Horde Khan Ulu Muhammad. Chokan Velikanov called him Great Steppe Philosopher. His study was carried out by the Russian researcher of Central Asia Grigory Potanin, the poet Mashur Jusup Kopeev and Mukhtar Awazov. Nevertheless, the personality of Hasan Kayg'e has acquired many legends and mysteries among the people. There is even a version that this grave is not his, but of a completely different person.
Hasan ata, yani Hasan Kayg'e бүкіл Алаштың тілеуін тілеп,
Hasan Kayg'e, Kazakh Jirao, poet and philosopher, was a historical personality. But according to scientific research, the tomb of Hasan Ata may be the coffin of the august king of Hassan. There are such sources, so the name Hassan was transformed into Hasan. If this is the grave of Hassan, then its history is closely connected with the history of Oguzes. There are a lot of legends and stories about holy places. For example, if you take a railway line around the mausoleum of Okshiata, in 1905, the railway passed from here. Then the project, when it was built, it crashed without end and could not complete it. Then the builders began to study the land, the surroundings. They began to ask people. Then they were told that here lies the ashes of a holy man. So the railway was built so that it didn't cross this place. In each nation there is such a right to honor the dead. The Kazakhs also have this phrase: until the dead are satisfied, the living will not prosper. Therefore, a lot of our compatriots come to us. They have different goals, but all have one common thing: pay tribute to the deceased, respect and worship our ancestors. No less interesting are the ancient monuments of this pantheon. The famous Kazakh architect Jibek, after a lengthy study of information on the features of the construction of similar structures around the world, put forward an interesting assumption. I noticed that these cupolas at the early stage all have peoples, from Turks to Egyptians, the Chinese. Everywhere they have such places, then it turns into pyramids and everything else there into tents and so on, or monuments, and at the end of such a pyramid stands. These are the best forms. Here's a type here. We'll call it a cone. Here it stands. You can feel a strong energy from it. According to the pilgrims, there really is a powerful influx of energy. Near the mausoleum of Hasan Ata, there are the tombs of 6 other holy elders. This is the Okshi Ata, already mentioned by us, as well as Kish Ata, Gaib Ata, Yasabiz Ata, Dazbolbi, and Balabi. People call this place Jeti Auliya, or the 7 Saints. Is it possible that due to this concentration of revered mausoleums, truly amazing stories are happening here? The rumors about which spread far beyond the region. Yes, there are those who ask for a child from God, and they come next year or some time later with a child, with a son or with a daughter, and they ask by all customs for a name, having read the Azan. Still, there are people who have problems with business or work problems to start a business. They too come and ask for help. Family problems. Somebody has a drinking problem. All these people afterwards solve their problems. Before passing to the graves of saints, it is necessary to perform a certain rite. For this, the Quran is read. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas, min sharril waswasil khannas. Mening есім Қалкөз Қажы. I'm Kalkoz Kaji Kaldibekuli. I have been serving as an imam in the Okshi Ata mosque for the last 4 years. We serve the people according to all the rules governing the religion. There are employees who are responsible for the cleanliness and order here. According to the Imam, on the territory of the Pantheon, every traveler or needy can absolutely stay at the hotel for free and spend the night. In the morning, he will be fed. We were offered to stay with our crew. But other unique places of this region of Kızılorda region also waited ahead. The mausoleum of Tolegetai Kilishti Ata is a monument of the 12th, 14th centuries. But the monument itself was destroyed during the years of Soviet power, during the development of virgin lands, and these lands were planted. Then they were restored, and in 2008, people from the clan of Naiman, a large commemoration was arranged, and they built the mausoleum of Tolegetai Kilishti Ata. The mausoleum is located in Jana Kogan district of Kızılorda region. Despite the fact that it was built quite recently in 2008 by architect Jibek, the interest of pilgrims to it is no less than to the ancient buildings.
Men ауылдың Тожеген келді мекенінің ақсақалымын. Осы бабалардың ұрпағы.
I am Aksakal of Kojakent Aul, a descendant of these ancestors. We stand on the grave of Kilishti Ata and Tolek Ata.
Білімді кісі болған, сол осы Өзгент атырабын, Құраны қыр өзгент, сыр өзгент деп аталған, қазір біздің тұрған жерімізде.
Kilishti Ata, his real name is Saidi Bohanidin. He was very literate, intelligent person. In the distance of kilometers from this place, there is the territory of Kirozgant. It is on the Silk Road. He settled here as an elder. He lived here, was a doctor, developed the Islamic religion.
İslam dinin әрі бұл кісі емші қасиеті болған.
According to historians, Kilish Ata was a missionary who spread Islam on this territory. Arriving on the land of the Sirdarya with his daughter, he fortified himself here, becoming a fairly wealthy man. And Tolegatai was his son-in-law. At that time, the people on this territory lived quite separately. Often there were internecine clashes and disputes. It is to Tolegatai researchers attribute merit to the unification of the local population. This version is also confirmed by the legend of these two people, which the martial master Abdurrahim Ibragimov told us.
Yazbaşı direktör babalar turusunda kim кездеседі.
There are very few concrete facts, but there are a few legends about Kilishte Ata and Tolek Ata. According to Kilishti's stories, he ruled these places up to Samarkand, and Tolek Ata united the Naimans who, after the Mongol invasion, broke up.
Кеше Моңғол шапқыншыдан кейін тарқап жүрген наймандардың басын біріктіріп, қайтадан найман тайпасын түзген наймандардың көсемі.
Tolegatai adopted Islam and remained to help with the economy of Kilishte Ata. He gave him a herd of sheep, where all the sheep were thin. The elder decided to check how the Bhatia would cope with the task at hand, whether he would fatten the sheep. He ordered his people to watch him. A few months later, Tolegatai drove the herd back. All the sheep in the flock looked healthy and well-fed. Kilishte Ata could not believe how this was possible. Then those people who watched Tolegatai told Kilishte Ata how everything happened. What does he do there? How does he take care of the sheep? When they started to follow him from the side, they saw that Tolek Ata with his staff creates a miracle. When he beats with a staff about the ground, there appears water, and from there the sheep drink water. After that, Kilishte Ata invited him to his place and appointed him as his assistant, and he gave away his daughter to him. Presumably, Kilishte Ata and Tolek Ata lived and died in the 12th century. According to the will of Kilishte, they were buried next to each other. There are a lot of legends about these saints. Otherwise, from where do people know about them today? Remember them. If a person has some sort of superpower, super abilities, only such people remain in people's memory. Kilishte Ata himself is Arab. His real name is Saidi Bukani Din. Tolek was his son-in-law. Some researchers questioned the fact of the actual burial of these two great figures. But the mausoleum of Kilishte Ata and Tolegatai was built not accidentally at this place. As Bek Ibrahim said, an artifact was found here which fully confirmed that it was here where they found their rest. There was just a cemetery, clay such. These are the same gravestones. Some graves had stone steles with inscriptions. Here on these inscriptions determined that this is it. At that moment, only a handful of stones remained from the mausoleum, and local residents turned to their fellow countryman architect Bek Ibrahim, who gladly responded to the request to build a new mausoleum. He designed a two-domed complex with 4 minarets. 8 bulbs are set before the entrance. Around there is a flower garden. This place looks like an oasis in the hot Kizilordar steppe. I do not even know what to say. It is a sacred place that you just go away thinking inwardly and ponder very much. Visiting the next shrine, the crew of the program Time Puzzle went further on the road. It was necessary to get into one more sacred place. It is considered to be one of the most mysterious in the country, and there are good reasons for this. About which Abulkazi Toleganov, the head of the Internal Policy Department of Jana Korgan region, told us. Our Sirdarya region, including the Janakogan district, is one of the sacred territories. We are located near the mausoleum of the holy Abdi Jalil Baba Khorasan Ata. Khorasan. According to the sources that came to us in the Kazakh Soviet Encyclopedia and on the research of our scientists since independence, besides oral literature and stories and legends, this is the mausoleum of Abdi Jalil Baba Khorasan Ota. He lived at the end of the 8th century, the beginning of the 9th century. Historical data on this man were preserved in the archives of the city of Tashkent. According to this information, Khorasan Ata conducted educational activities on the territory of the Sirdarya region, built schools, and was also a batir and commander. In those days, there was a big river on this place. They say that in the middle of this river there was the island of Totikus. On this island, our Abdi Jalil Baba lived. His main merit, he brought and introduced to the steppe the most important religion of Muslims, Islam. According to the information that came to us, Abdi Jalil Baba Khorasan Ata had natural abilities. He was very literate. Besides being engaged in the introduction of the spread of Islam, he was a sorcerer. According to the data that came to us, Khorasan Ata found a vaccine against smallpox. He took his blood and cured this disease. Such a way of fighting the disease was known in the East back in the Middle Ages. It was described by Persian scholars Abu Bakr Muhammad al-Razi and Ibn Sina, known as Avicenna. But this method was very dangerous. About 1 in every 50 died from this vaccination. Only in 1796, the English physician Edward Jenner planted the 8-year-old boy with an analog of human smallpox, the cows, and after that he tried to instill in the same child a smallpox that people suffer from. The disease did not take root. It was with this case that the beginning of the safe prophylaxis of this terrible disease began.
Abdi Jalil
Bab Khorasan Ata came to our region not alone. In the instructions of our ancestors, it is said that from Arab countries, from Mecca, Medina, he came with several of his associates, assistants. Kilishti Ata, Kılavuz Ata, Baksaiz Ata, they're all buried here. They say that all of them were led by Khorasan Ata. In proof of this, everyone knows that one person cannot do such things, so all of the above people were with him and helped him. They were all his companions. The descendants of these missionaries lived mainly in Central Asia. It is thanks to their efforts and preserved many stories related to Khorasan Ata. In our understanding this whole story, the legend is passed from oral literature, from generation to generation by our ancestors. Residents of these territories or auls that border on the South Kazakhstan region, everyone knows and reveres the mausoleum of Abdi Jalil Baba Khorasan Ata. And nowadays, maybe in the Kazakh history or in what that information can all this not be preserved, but in the Arab countries, in China and in Russia, there is information possibly about him. We need to look for him in historical information. As well as all about all great people, several legends and about Khorasan Ata were born among people. One of them tells of his unusual death.
Namazды оқығанда ешқандай бұзуға болмайды. Құран оқып бұзсаңыз, сол жерден тоқтап бағыштап жіберуіңізге болады, ал намазды ешқандай бұзуға болмайды.
During prayer, one cannot be distracted by anything. During the prayer, Khorasan Ata was killed by a sword. He was killed by enemies. He was buried in this place. He was killed during the morning prayer. The prayer is recited 5 times. There is a morning namaz bamdat. Khorasan Ata had a gift, ability. He was invulnerable. Neither a bullet could hurt him, he was batir. So during this morning prayer, he was vulnerable. His enemies found out about it and killed him with a sword during the morning namaz. Many heard that in the Janakogan district of the Kizilorda region there is a unique monument, a copy of the sacred Kaaba. Its appearance is also connected with the name of the saint. About this tells another legend. As a true Muslim, Khorasan Ata, or as he was also called Abdi Jalil Baba, read namaz 5 times daily. But during the morning prayer he always disappeared. His son Hussein could not understand where his father was going, and one day he could not stand it and turned to him. Father, I have one question for you. Ask my son, why do you disappear during the morning prayer? What is the reason? Son, you notice everything. When we read namaz, we read one part in Mecca, Medina, in the house of Allah. The Abdi Jalil Baba replied, the son says to him, if you want, then I will bring the Kaaba to you. Khorasan Ata was very surprised by this statement, but did not show it. He decided to test his son, how strong his faith was, and whether there is power in him, so Hussein agreed to such a proposal. In the legend, nothing is said about how the young man fulfilled his promise, but one day Khorasan Ata saw on the ground a shadow that the Kaaba was casting, floating in the sky. Hussein Ata says to his father, I moved the Kaaba and its shadow. Where should I put it? Then the Abdi Jalil woman answered him, if you respect me, then take the Kaaba to your place. I will only draw his shadow. And he drew a shadow of the Kaaba, so that people do not step on this place. He fenced it. It still stands there. In our time, pilgrims come to this place and bypass the copy of the Kaaba with prayers, believing that they are performing Hajj in this way. As explained by the local Shirakshi, this is completely wrong. Nothing but a visit to Mecca to this Kaaba cannot be considered equal to a similar Hajj. A copy of the Kaaba in this ancient cemetery is just a reminder of the life of the saint and his deeds. Inside the structure, the remnants of the ancient wall, which Khorasan Ata built, were actually preserved to designate the place where the shadow of the real Kaaba fell. This fact also pushes researchers to the fact that Abdi Jalil Bab, or as he was called by the people of Khorasan Ata, told about the holy place to his followers to consolidate their faith and built a place for prayers remotely resembling a shrine in Mecca. But these are only the assumptions of some historians. Nevertheless, this place is still overgrown with legends. There used to be a mosque, Abdi Jalil Baba Mosque. You can see this place where the mosque was. At the time of the Soviet Union, here on this site there was a cattle farm. The land belonged to the farm. In those days, there was such a position as a party organizer, so they were given from above such an order to demolish a mosque. Supposedly people go there at night, pray and all that. This is a real story. Witnesses of all this are still alive. So they gave vodka to one person who was driving a bulldozer and forced to demolish the mosque. And when he returned home, he learned that his wife had died. This is a sad story, of course, but this place is preserved due to the fact that it is considered special, sacred. What it was, a simple coincidence or the will of inexplicable forces, there is still no answer, but the fact that here comes a lot of people with different goals remains unchallenged. Believers come here for help or simply thank the elder for the wealth in the family and the health of relatives and close ones. In Soviet times, these mausoleums were not destroyed. The local residents honor these places. Everything is in the hands of God, but we witnessed such events. When the young couple got married and for a long time cannot have children, they came here and spent the night here. Of course, they ask first of God and then of the holy Khorasan Ata. Thanks to these features of the Khorasan mausoleum, these children are born in these families. Here, several reconstructions were carried out. All this work is carried out by his descendants, the inhabitants of the village, Jana Kogan district. Wandering among the ancient mausoleums, involuntarily you feel the strength and calmness, as if someone is kind and mighty watching you from above. And it does not matter what kind of religion you are and nationality, feeling that the seven saints look at you with kind eyes and send you their blessing. It is difficult to understand where reality ends and legends begin, but it is possible that thanks to myths and legends, the history of the people is preserved. My name is Andrei Slozhin, and you watch the program Time Puzzle. See you next time on Kazakh TV.